When it comes to the whole Israeli/Zionist question, I think it's the only topic that someone on the far right and someone on the far left actually agree on. So on the far left, they come at it from a humanitarian perspective. They look at Israel as a genocidal, apartheid, ethno-supremacy state. And then from the right-wing perspective, they look at it like our country is being subverted by rich, powerful that don't really give about American interests, and they are taking over our foreign policy and getting us into wars that we don't need. So for once, the far left and the far right are able to come together on a topic, and I've never seen any other political topic unite two completely different spectrums and then everybody else in between.
But a lot has changed. Now, obviously, for right reason, a lot has changed, and a lot of people talk about this. Do you see that people jump on the bandwagon just to make content, just for views, just for engagement, just for clout?
That's a good question. Yeah, as you know, me, Nick, and Sneeko have been talking about this before it was safe to talk about it, right? Before October 7th.
Yeah.
And obviously a lot of us had to pay quite a big, heavy price for it. Got me demonetized, Sneeko got banned, Nick got banned. You know, and back then it wasn't safe, but I'll say that there were three main things I would say that led to what I call the Great Awakening. And it was number one, Elon Musk getting Twitter.
Yeah.
Number two, October 7th and Israel's ridiculous response to it. And then number three, people just kind of waking up in general because of TikTok. So I'll kind of go through each one real quick.
Yeah.
So as we all know, Elon Musk bought Twitter, made it more free speech. When October 7th happened, what ended up happening was people were posting videos and images of all these kids getting bombed. Right. And so you're seeing a genocide go down in like 4K. And that started to raise up questions like, wait, this is where our tax dollars are going? Because most Americans don't really know where their tax dollars are going when it comes to our support of Israel and our foreign policy. Most Americans don't even know how our foreign policy works. So, and this has been something that's been hidden for so long because of mass censorship. If you had talked about Israel, them destroying, kicking Palestinians out of their house out of the West Bank, or them cutting the grass in Gaza every couple of years, they would ban you so quick. And YouTube used to brag about it. The former CEO, Susan Wojcicki, who's a Polish Zionist, she bragged about how she would ban people for having anti-Semitic conspiracy theories. But going back to what I was saying, so I don't digress too much. So Elon Musk gets Twitter, right? And people are seeing all these images coming out of Gaza of kids dying. And that raises questions. What the hell? How is this happening? Then they go on TikTok and they're seeing the same thing. Kids are getting killed. People are getting bombed. Indiscriminate bombing all over the place. They're leveling Gaza. How is this happening? Then, a month later, in 2023, November, a letter to America goes viral. This is a letter authored by Osama bin Laden. Osama bin Laden, in this letter, outlines all of his grievances with the United States. And what's the bottom line? Our foreign policy, where we support Israel and destroy all these Muslim countries and destabilize them for Israel to be the hegemony in the region, is a big part of the reason why they attacked us, right? And why he has a problem with the United States when he had his issues. So when people, and the thing is like me and you are a bit older, so we remember 9/11, we remember the war on terror, right? We remember all the propaganda. We remember Fox News and, NBC and all this other stuff showing the war coverage and saying, we're going to go to war in Iraq, we're going to get these guys, etc. But these young people, these Gen Zers that weren't alive at the time, they're on TikTok with fresh eyes. They're like, wait, hold on one second, because they didn't get indoctrinated with the propaganda that me and you did. So they're looking at TikTok with fresh eyes like, oh, this is why these guys hate us. It's because of Israel. They're killing kids in Gaza. We can see it. And they're able to connect everything. Yeah. And then bam, people start getting red pilled on this topic. So you got Twitter, allowing more free speech, showing these images. You got TikTok being 70% pro-Palestine. Then, obviously, the war in Gaza, what's going on there? The entire international community starts to condemn Israel. And then people start getting red pilled like, how are these people getting away with this? Then they find out, oh, they get away with this because they own our politicians. People start waking up to AIPAC. People start waking up to the USS Liberty. People start waking up to 9/11. People start waking up to JFK. And they're like, holy crap, why are there Zionist fingerprints during in all of these historical events, right? Now, I'm very specific when I talk about this stuff. I'm not going to be one of these like Spurg idiots. Did it? No. What I will say is, when it comes to these multiple events, whether it's the USS Liberty, 9/11, JFK, October 7th, the Levant affair, all these different situations, there's Zionist fingerprints all over it. Does it mean that they did it by themselves? Of course not. Yeah. But they had a hand in it, and these guys are supposed to be our greatest allies. That's the problem. And we give them a lot of aid.
Yeah. So my question kind of goes back to what you're saying about Susan, because it's more close to, we could get more into like this, we will, but Susan bragging or saying or censoring people. So my question now is, the run everything, right? That's the thing. Okay.
Yeah, I mean, Sergey Brin, her,
Right.
all, and all
Right.
Zionists too.
So why now are people so freely able to speak about it without repercussion? In your
Great
opinion?
question. No, great question. Because TikTok is a big part of it, and Twitter. Because what ended up happening was people were getting mass red pilled at a rate that Israel could not keep up with the censorship. So the way it worked prior to October 7th was, if you were critical of Israel or you talked about power or any of this stuff, you were maybe 1 out of 100 creators that would do it. They find you, bam, banned immediately. Get this guy out of here, right? Because if you talked about power, you would immediately stick out like a sore thumb. But then once everyone started to step up and talk about it because they couldn't take seeing dead kids on their screens anymore, they couldn't ban everybody. So what ended up happening, organizations like the SPLC, Media Matters, ADL, etc., these organizations that typically were responsible for getting people banned, they couldn't keep up with everybody. Because now you don't just have far-right white nationalists or crazy Antifa people being critical of Israel. You got people on all political spectrums being critical of Israel. And when it comes to the whole, Israeli/Zionist question, I think it's the only topic that someone on the far right and someone on the far left actually agree on for different reasons. Of course. Now, yes,
Yeah.
now because of the conflict. So on the far left, right, or on the left in general, they come at it from a humanitarian perspective. They look at Israel as a genocidal, apartheid, ethno-supremacy state, right, that is oppressing the indigenous people, right, occupying them illegally. And then from the right-wing perspective, they look at it like, yo, our country is being subverted by rich, powerful that don't really give a fuck about American interests, and they are taking over our foreign policy and getting us into wars that we don't need. And then the guys that are Christian on that right-hand side are like, and they're also killing kids and bombing churches. So for once, the far left and the far right are able to come together on a topic, and I've never seen any other political topic unite two completely different spectrums and then everybody else in between. So basically what happened was, the reason why we could talk about this now is because they can't censor all of us. How is it that someone like me, right, who is completely on the different political spectrum of someone like Hassan Piker, how do we come to the same conclusion that Israel's a problem? That should tell you something.
Yeah.
If someone like me and him are agreeing on something when we literally disagree on everything else politically.
Why
that
do you
just
think
goes to show
why
how
do you
bad
think
it is.
why do you, I mean, I guess it took so long because of the previous censorship.
Yeah, because you couldn't talk about it.
It seems like now it's just, I was talking to Sneeko about this last week. It seems like now it's so in your face that it's almost like it's on purpose for you to dislike him. Like there's only there's like a small group of people who defend it now. It seems like.
Yeah. Obviously, look, I'm not delusional. I know a lot of people are doing it for attention, money, clout, etc. A lot of people have jumped on the bandwagon, but honestly, dude, I'm happy. And I'll tell you why. Like, I don't even like, even though there's a bunch of people that jumped on the bandwagon, I don't even like calling them out, because I think this is such a problem that even if people are getting involved for the wrong reasons, it doesn't matter, because the more awareness we can bring to this problem, the better. Right. And people have their criticisms of Tucker, of Candace. They say, they say Frankists or Zionists or whatever, or neocons. They don't go hard enough. Look, the fact that someone like Tucker or Candace even mentions Israel or Zionism or power is a W in itself, because I look at it like they're going to lead you to guys like me. They're going to lead you to other individuals who might be a bit more, critical, I guess, or a Nick or a Sneak or any of these other guys. Like, the thing is that they have a normie conservative audience that are, typically always pro-Israel, etc. So you got to red pill these guys slowly, because it's a lot of information and it's overwhelming for someone to take all in one sitting. But once you figure out that we basically have a group of people that subvert our country, are in high echelons of power, control almost every infrastructural point in our society, whether it's big tech, pornography, news circulation, media in general, the finance industry, politics, right? It's so many different industries that they control. Social media platforms, the majority of the social media platforms are run by Zionists. Google, right? Once you figure this all out, then you realize, this is how they've been able to maintain this power so long, and people don't really do their research and figure out where these people are really from. But when you do that early life, it checks out every single time.
One of the craziest ones that I couldn't believe when I saw, well, I guess it makes sense, but the one of the biggest donors to AIPAC is OF, OnlyFans. I couldn't believe that, bro. I was like, wow, it's just destroying our society, bro.
Dude, let me. It's like it's hilarious because it literally keeps up with the stereotypes, man. And you know, I'll make it even funnier for you, right? So TikTok, right, got so bad that the ADL put like the ADL and many other groups, lobby groups, said, "Yo, we need to get TikTok under control." Now, if we go back to 2020, back in August of 2020, when Trump was still in office, they were talking about banning TikTok because it was they were saying it was a Chinese malware.
Yeah, I remember
right?
this. Yeah.
You remember that, right?
Yeah.
So it never actually got, and nothing happened though. It never got banned. People just kept it going. It is what it is. It wasn't until Israel started and the lobby in America that they actually started taking real steps to get it banned. So guess what happens? Donald Trump in 2024 leverages TikTok and is able to, you know, between TikTok, doing interviews with different influencers, etc. Right? Yeah, you were in the interview with him with Nelk, right?
Yeah.
So he heavily utilized social media and big platforms to get reelected in 2024. Right. So he didn't want to just throw TikTok to the side. So what did he do? He said, look, we're going to structure a deal.
Prolong it. Yeah.
Prolong it, structure a deal. We're going to get American buyers. So what, last month or so? Who buys it? Larry Ellison.
Yeah, I know. Who
donates a bunch of money to IDF, right?
Yeah.
So, and why did they do it? I'll tell you why. Because TikTok was 70% pro-Palestine over being pro-Israel. And TikTok is the biggest app for young people. And Jonathan Greenblatt went to Israel and talked about this. He said, look, we got a TikTok problem. We got a generational problem. The young people are becoming anti-Semites and being haters and not supporting Israel. And Israel is intelligent enough to know that if they don't have U.S. support, they're cooked. So they needed to get control of TikTok immediately. And that's why they rushed to get Larry Ellison to purchase it. And now you can't put AIPAC on there. You can't put the watermelons on there. You can't put From the River to the Sea. So now it's completely owned. And then they hired another woman who I think was a member of the IDF's Unit 8200, which is like the equivalent to our NSA. They hired her as like the head of like trust and safety for the censorship. And recently Twitter also went ahead and did like a thing. I'm seeing way more pro-Zionist posts on Twitter right now. Ever since they talked about giving people $7,000 per post, etc.
Yeah.
I predict that there's going to be a massive clampdown.
Yeah. So where do you think it goes? Do you think it just goes back to where it was?
I think the censorship is coming back. I just don't see how they're going to do it slowly but surely, because now that most of the conflict is gone, done, they pretty much, you know, they got Gaza right now. They're going to ethnically cleanse those people out. They waged their war against Hezbollah. They destabilized Syria, got Bashar al-Assad out of there. They've accomplished a lot of their things. They attacked Iran. So what I predict next is they're going to start censoring because they definitely want to go to war again with the Iranians.
Yeah, they want that. It's their last sort of issue in the Middle East for them. So I understand.
Yeah. It's the last barrier.
So I guess when I have all these conversations, I look at everything, I see everything, I read all this stuff, and I kind of always find myself in this position where I'm like, okay, how do we actually make it better? Like, and for you, for example, or me, for example, right? We always kind of talk about these things. We have these conversations, which I think is a part of making it better. I know, like, for example, that's the Kamala thing. I'll talk about that in a second, but it pertains to this. But what do you think people can actually do? Because I think a lot of people, like, what can people actually do? Because I feel like we're always talking about this and people are always thinking about it. And I have conversations with people in person about this stuff. And it's like, what can someone actually do? Because I think a lot of people feel that they are sort of helpless. Yeah. So like, what do you actually do, and what can people actually do to make the change besides just speaking and, sometimes feeling like they're in echo chambers?
No, sure. And I agree with you. Like, we could talk about this crap all day and say that, like, that's stupid. We got to come up with solutions. So number one, we need to get more guys in politics that aren't cucked to Israel. We need guys that aren't going to sit there and take AIPAC dollars and, be slaves to Israel and do whatever they want. And also that's number one. We got to remove the tentacles from our government. And honestly, you're going to do that by making AIPAC register, shaming people that take foreign money from Israel. Get politicians in there that are truly America first, not we love Israel and they're our greatest ally. Like, we need people in there that are hardcore nationalists. Okay.
So not like Randy Fine and not like Ted Cruz.
Hell no. Those guys are embarrassments.
I couldn't believe when he did that interview with Tucker and he was like, my sole purpose of becoming a part, I think it's Senate. I'm not sure. Senator, which one, whatever.
To be a senator.
to be a senator was to defend, to be like Israel's. It's like how is someone join our country's Senate and their sole purpose is to defend another country?
Yeah, bro. It's you know, and I'm so happy that like people are waking up and realizing that you can't be a politician in the United States unless you cook for Israel. And slowly but surely, hopefully with this education, right? It might not be on the next election term, but maybe the one after that. These young guys that are getting red pilled on this stuff now, they're going to get into positions of power. They're going to be able to kind of, you know, turn the clock, because we are waking a lot of people up. So I'm hoping the next generation comes in and they're going to realize, yeah, we're tired of supporting Israel. That's why the ADL fought so hard to get TikTok banned and make it more pro Israel, because they know that, you know, it's just a matter of time until people start getting red pill on this topic. And I think that's how we're going to solve it, is educating the youth, letting them know what's really going on. And then eventually these guys are going to get in positions of power and we can change the country.